and beauty experts with me in the studio, and she is coming up, so I can't wait for everyone to get to know her and all of the good things that she has to teach us about beauty. That's coming up in just a minute. One other thing I wanted to touch on in our health corner is courage. And so if you've been listening to our show in the past couple of weeks, we've talked a lot about building confidence. So one thing I found really interesting was about courage this week I wanted to touch on. So it's really important for us to muster up the courage in order to improve our lives. But we don't need to be courageous all of the time. 20 seconds per day is all it takes to move ourselves forward. So this might be, in making a phone call, having an important conversation, or publishing a blog post even, asking for a raise, or quitting a job. So comfort zones and safety zones are not the same thing, says expert Seth Godin. He says, most times the lack of comfort in a situation will not kill you, even though we think that it will sometimes. I definitely can relate to that. And this is something I do all the time. I'm constantly pushing myself to get outside of my comfort zone, no matter how uncomfortable it is. And I highly encourage all of you guys to do the same. My next guest this week has been in the beauty business working for the top companies for 20 years, such as Christian Dior, Prescriptives, MAC, and Chanel, which makes her so well-rounded on so many different levels when it comes to bringing out the best beauty in her clients. She is passionate about people and the clients that she works with. She's passionate about helping people understand the correlation between diet and skin. Dwana, thank you so much for, I always tell me how to pronounce your last name because
Finelli.
Finelli. Dwana Finelli.
Dwana's the hard part.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
On Palm Beach Radio. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've known each other for some time now. You've done my makeup dozens of times, and you are so fabulous, and you have the best personality, and you're so knowledgeable about so many different things. This is one of my favorite topics, everything makeup, skincare, and beauty, and you are one of the top experts in all of those things right here in Palm Beach.
Thank you.
So you talk a lot about balancing holistic and beauty. Tell us a little bit more about that and what makes you so passionate about it.
Well, I think for makeup is only as good as the skin that you put it on. And sometimes we don't take into consideration if we're going out or we're drinking too much, how that's going to affect the skin and what we can do to kind of balance that out. Eat more berries, the more lycopene that's in the berry, the more clarity you're going to have to your skin. Drinking something as simple as aloe juice will bring back the suppleness, or taking fish oils will make it just a little bit softer, and it'll have a better glow, because you can put as much makeup on as you want, but you really want to have a glow from within and be able to enhance that with the makeup. We want to just bring out the healthy part of us and not cover up what we are.
Yeah. So, I think that's so interesting because we as women, we want to look our best. So we go out and we buy, tons of these makeup products that we think will enhance our good features, like you said, and hide the not so good ones. Mm-hmm. And, we think that this will fix everything. So what are some suggestions that you have to achieve this glow?
Well, I think hydration is number one. Trying to really get a good night's rest, because unfortunately you can't get sleep in a cosmetic product yet, maybe in the future, but not now. So these are things that you really can't hide with makeup. So to really have that glow and look your best, you definitely need to get a lot of rest. It's so important, because it will help with the bags under the eyes, it will help the dark circles, it'll help you not to look gray and look dull.
Yeah.
And just something as simple as getting a good night's rest will make all the difference in the world. And hydration. hydration is very, very important, because if you don't hydrate, then your skin is dry, and no matter what you put on your skin, how amazing the product is, you can't paint sandpaper.
Yeah.
It'll be like sandpaper.
Yeah.
So you have to hydrate. Those are probably the two most important things, and not getting sunburned.
Okay.
I mean, who loves the sun? I love the sun. I'm not going to say stay out of the sun.
I don't love the sun.
Well, this is
I
why you
know.
have beautiful
I'm like
skin.
crazy.
But, we have to be realistic also.
Yeah.
You just have to take the precautions to keep your skin the best that you can. And there's a lot of simple ways to fix, being in Florida, everybody likes to go out in the sun, they get sunburned. Something as simple as taking milk and putting it on the skin as soon as you can will help to take the burn out. It will help to keep you from peeling. And then, of course, you can, put on your aloe. But as a quick fix, that's something that everybody should know here in Florida.
Yeah. How did you get so knowledgeable? I really want to, I know a little bit about your background, but there's so much, you have over 20 years of experience in the beauty business. Tell us how you gained most of this experience, knowledge, education, practice, everything.
A lot of it comes from the companies that I've worked for. I've been very, very fortunate. Prescriptives, used to custom blend foundations, and that really taught me a lot about pigments and undertones, and how something's going to look in 20 minutes from now or 3 hours from now. And I worked for MAC, and they really teach you about the artist wheel and understanding what's going to be complementary, what's going to be really dramatic, and not boxing yourself into, well, I'm a warm or I'm a cool, I can only wear this, I can only wear that. Have fun. It's makeup. It's meant to be fun.
Yeah.
But it can be very intimidating when you're coming up to a color bar and you're like, well, where do you start?
Oh my God, yeah.
So if you have that idea, okay, well, I'm warm, then, if I put on a pink lipstick, it's going to be more dramatic. Doesn't mean that I can't wear it. It just means that it'll be a more dramatic look. So,
okay.
Just having that basic knowledge, educating yourself. It's so much easier today to educate yourself. You can go online. You can read a magazine. And, working with companies like Chanel, very couture. But it's really just understanding color. If you understand color, it makes your life a lot easier.
And your color in particular, and what you need. Okay. Well, speaking of that, would you consider yourself an expert in undertones? And you mentioned you worked with the Dior prescriptives and mixing custom.
I think that's
foundation.
One of my stronger points is understanding undertones. I find a lot of people these days are very red.
Okay.
Whether it's from products that they're using or it's just part of how their skin is, and because there's a lot of environmental aggressors today. So we tend to be a little bit more red than we have been in the past. And one of the biggest things to know about that is that you have to go a shade lighter in your foundation. And foundation is where it all starts. Well, obviously it starts with your skincare, but if your foundation isn't right, then nothing you put on is going to be right.
Gotcha. Okay. So many things I want to touch on here because this is a huge, huge issue, as you're saying, for a lot of people. I know I've seen it before. I know I've learned the hard way when it comes to, unfortunately, making a mistake of using a foundation that's not the right color. Okay. So undertones. When choosing the right makeup shades, especially foundation, knowing that it's so important to know whether you're a warm, cool, or neutral undertones, what are some of the tips that you can tell us on how to tell which tone you are?
Well, you'll be able to tell when you first put something on. You've got to give your foundation at least a minute to oxidize.
Okay.
That's the biggest mistake I see. Somebody comes up and they say, oh, well, this is brand new and I like this, and they put it on and then that's it.
What do you mean, when you say oxidize, putting it on your skin or on your hand before?
You should always try it at least right here, because you want it to blend into your neck, and the skin on your hand is completely different than the skin on your face.
Okay.
Generally, it's going to be a lot lighter.
Okay.
You have more veins here, so you definitely want to try it at least on your chin and blend it into the neck. But you'll be able to see, okay, is it going to go gray on me? Is it going to go pink? Does it look very yellow?
Okay.
And that was one of the benefits of prescriptives, is they actually did color striping. So you could see, and then it helps people to understand, oh, okay, so that's why that changes on me, or that's why that looks this way. And knowing your skin type. Because if you're an oilier skin and you put on a hydrating foundation because you want to look dewy, in an hour from now it's going to be at least 2 shades darker because the oil is going to come through and it's going to turn.
Really?
And that's, you know, that's a big challenge that I see is people don't understand their skin type.
Okay.
You know, because you can be oily, you can be dry. And so you have to really take that into consideration when you're looking at the finishes of makeup. Because you have dewy, you have luminosity, you have matte. And the trend this season is matte. Everything has a matte finish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, matte is not necessarily going to be the most flattering for everybody.
I love dewy, girl. I love my dewy. Always and forever.
Absolutely. Well, it's more youthful.
Yeah.
You know, just like having something that's too yellow based. I mean, you think about a baby when they're born. Okay, they have that pink skin. If they're yellow, what happens? They have too much bilirubin in their body. That's not good. It doesn't look healthy. So something that has a pink glow is always going to be more youthful. But again, you have to start with the base of what's going to match your skin the best.
Okay.
And take into consideration, again, how's it going to look in an hour from now? You know, you can look flawless right now, but, you know, chances are it's going to take you 20 minutes to get somewhere. So if 20 minutes, everything that you just did is undone, then...
You said something so interesting about the hour concept, and I think, like, nobody knows about that. I've never in my life, until just now, not even, like, from you before, about waiting an hour to let it sit on your skin because it changes color. That's something, like,
but you don't have to
people need to know.
Yeah, you don't have to wait an hour as far as picking out a foundation shade.
Right.
But you definitely need to give it a couple minutes to oxidize.
Okay.
Because, especially when you're purchasing it in a store, store's lighting is... it's nobody's friend. Okay, it's generally going to be harsh fluorescent lighting, so you really have to give it a chance to oxidize, because you have to think about color as your skin is one color, you're picking out a foundation or whatever it is, you're putting it on, you're creating a third color.
Okay.
So you have to think about what am I going to create with what I'm putting on my skin. And I think that really will help with taking a lot of the guesswork out of foundation, because foundation is one of the most challenging products for a woman to choose. And if you try a foundation and maybe it's just the wrong finish, then, you know, if let's say you're oily and you pick something that's dewy, and you're like, well, I hate that foundation, I'm never going to use that product again. Well, that's not necessarily true. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the brand. It just means that wasn't the right product for you.
Yes. Are we thinking about something that happened to me recently when I came to you and you said the exact same thing to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
So there's a lot of factors, you know, when it comes to makeup. There's a lot of choices, and it can seem very overwhelming.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a lot of write-ups and, you know, oh, I saw this in a magazine, it's brand new, I gotta have it. Okay, well, if you're an oily, you know, skin, and this is, again, something that's very, very hydrating, you're gonna hate it. It's gonna feel like your face is sliding off, and nobody wants to feel that way.
No.
And it's the same thing for, you know, a drier skin type. If they're using something for an oilier skin, then it dries it out. Well, I don't want to wear that, it looks dry and cakey. Well, of course it does.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
So it's just understanding what you're looking for. A lot of times people don't even know what they're looking for.
No.
Do you want to be dewy? I don't know. What does that mean?
No.
Do you want luminosity? I don't know. What is that? And understanding and finding a makeup artist that understands what you're saying. Because sometimes what we think we want and what we really want are not the same thing.
Yeah, we see oftentimes a picture of a girl in a magazine and say, oh, you know, I want to look like her. I want to have that hairstyle. I want to have that makeup look. But you know, she could have bleach blonde hair and blue eyes, and I'm coming to you like, and you're like, seriously? You don't have any of those features. So it's about being realistic, definitely. But knowing, like you're saying, yourself and what works for you. Okay, so going back to undertones, what are some ways that people, if they don't know what type of undertone they are, how can they tell? Like, is there something that they can look up against their skin? Like, I wear a lot of gold. Okay. So does that mean that I have warm tones?
Yeah, because you can see how it looks like it kind of just complements the skin. So you'll know. You can take something that's really, really pink and put it on somebody who has more of a yellow, and it'll be very stark. You'll see a big contrast. Okay. But if you put something on that's more complementary to your skin tone, it won't stand out as much. Even if it's not the right shade, it won't be like, oh my god, that's so dramatic. Right. If that makes sense. Okay. Because sometimes you can also be like a warm undertone with a cool overtone. So it can be a little tricky, and that's why it's also important to find an artist that understands skin, that understands you also, because there are also people who are very warm, but they don't want to be that way. You know, beauty is different to everybody. So just because you are a warmer tone, maybe you want to be more pink. You know, so it's kind of having somebody guide you so that you can get what you want to achieve while still being somewhat practical.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. So switching over real quickly.
Okay.
As you mentioned about, you know, the ingredients and stuff that goes into the skin, I'm starting to see a lot of these companies that are popping up using words like toxin-free and all-natural. To me, I feel like I'm just not quite there yet. I still love my expensive big brand products, and I'm interested in learning about these companies, but I'm just not quite there yet. I love the quality, I love the pigmentations, and ultimately that overall finished look that I get from, you know, the brands I've been loyal to thus far. So how do you feel about these newer, more natural companies that are coming out?
Especially in the United States, the FDA, the regulations here are very different than what they are in other countries. So just because a product says that it's natural does not mean that it's 100% organic. There are different ways around it, and you know, you got to really, again, educate yourself, because they'll take something as simple as like aloe, and it'll be like hyaluronic acid, and people are like, well, what is that? Well, acid sounds bad. Well, that's not necessarily true. So it's more about educating, but people also have to take into consideration that if something is natural, and say you're sensitive to a certain flower or you're sensitive to a certain plant, and that ingredient is in there, then you're going to have sensitivity to that also. So it's, you know, going chemical free, although it sounds fantastic, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to make you less sensitive or it's going to be better for you.
So what you're saying is there could be all these ingredients in there that you basically don't even know that you could be allergic to, and they don't have to list them.
They don't have to list them, no. They don't.
That just seems so wrong to me.
Yes.
That, like, they're marketing themselves. But I guess it's the same way in food packaging.
Absolutely.
You know, there's all this organic, this natural stuff, and what does that really mean nowadays? Okay.
Exactly. And, you know, there's a lot of, and it's the way that things are extracted from plants, and then different parts of the plants. You know, you could be sensitive to maybe a flower, but not necessarily to the stem cells. And stem cells is really, you know, where a lot of the companies are really trending towards now, because that's the most potent in the ingredients. And so you have many different levels of ingredients in products also. So you just have to really, again, educate yourself. And the only way that you're really going to know is to try something, unfortunately. Okay. But you should keep in mind, especially when it comes to flowers, if you're allergic to flowers or certain florals, you know, roses or whatever the case might be, and it's in that product, you should probably steer clear of that.
Good to know. Very, very good to know. The other thing about this subject in particular, because they're made with these natural ingredients, are you, in your opinion, are you still able to achieve this fabulous, flawless look as you would with regular makeup?
I mean, the challenges are definitely going to be there. You're going to be more limited in pigments, and it's a little harder to find like a true natural cosmetic brand that you're going, you know, it's really, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I don't really see a lot of really truly natural brands out there.
With the pigmentation that gives you the coverage and the color.
Exactly. I think it would be more of a skincare line would be able to be a little bit more organic than a makeup line. But, you know, technology is our friend sometimes. And and so sometimes. And so we're going to see a lot more products that are kind of geared that way, but you have to think about how long is it going to last also. Something that's really natural, it's going to have a very short lifespan.
Yes. I remember
unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I really was curious to know what your thoughts were, and if there were any on the market that you saw that stood out to you that were, you know, really great. If not, you know, it's
not so much in makeup, more so in skincare.
Yeah.
And I mean, for myself in particular, I try to go as holistic as I can But I'm a makeup junkie, so I understand where you're coming from. So,
Yeah.
when it comes to like lip glosses and things of that nature, lip balms, then you could probably get a little bit more natural. But I mean, putting berries on your cheek is probably going to be the only way that you're going to achieve a rosy glow.
Yeah.
As of right now. But I'm sure that there's a lot of cosmetic companies out there that maybe I'm just not familiar with.
Sometimes I just do this to
Yes, that's
give
effective.
my cheeks a little
Very
pinch.
effective. Very.
I think that's my biggest concern, honestly, is why I haven't switched over or at least tried any of these companies, as vain as that sounds. I just feel like I'll be a little disappointed. So.
Which is understandable because, and you're probably right to a certain degree, because I don't think we're quite there yet when it comes to the makeup aspect of it. You have to have the binders and whatnot to, keep your mascara on or give the longevity to your lip color. But I'm sure that in the future we'll have more choices, I guess.
Okay. Good to know. In your opinion, what is the biggest secret to achieve that healthy glow?
Hydration.
Okay.
Hydration.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
And serums. Serums is, a lot of times people will say, well, why do I have to use a serum? Why can't I just use my moisturizer? Well, you have to think about your serum as your vitamin pack for the skin and your moisturizer as your daily meal.
Okay.
So in a perfect world, you would use both. But your serums penetrate deeper, and you can layer many, many, many serums. And serums will really provide you with a glow that is building the skin up, as opposed to something that's just giving you an effect, if that makes sense, I hope.
So serum before moisturizer.
Serum before moisturizer. Serums are very, very important. You'll find that your makeup will last longer, your moisturizer is going to penetrate deeper. Everything is more effective when you use a serum.
Okay. Awesome. What are you excited about for coming up? All the trends that are coming up with fall. Fall is right around the corner. I can't believe it's already August.
I know.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast.
Yeah, it does. So what do people need to know right now? Right now about updating their skincare routine for fall.
Okay, for fall, again, it's going to go back to what you're using in the summertime may not be what you're going to use in the wintertime, depending on your skin type. As you go into winter months, it's drier outside. You don't have as much humidity, depending on where you live, of course. Okay. But it's just going to be colder, crisper, which can be harsher on the skin. During the summertime, it's hotter outside. You want something that's a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially here.
Especially here, exactly.
Yeah.
But in the wintertime, you definitely need to step it up a little bit more. Maybe be a little bit better about using something that's a little bit richer at night. Maybe doing more of a mask to, again, really just kind of give that skin the balance that it needs.
Okay.
As you're transitioning, because it wreaks havoc on the skin, also going from really hot to really cold.
Yes.
So you get chapped lips a lot easier. A lot of times people don't think to exfoliate their lips. That's a really, really big thing.
I love that you brought that up, because exfoliating your lips is something I just discovered last year. Somebody handed me I think it was a Rodin on Fields lip exfoliator, and I was like, oh my god, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced before.
Exactly. And exfoliation in particular, especially for the skin and for the lips, you have to remove the dry skin. You have to, because your skincare can only penetrate so deep. And if you have all this dry skin on top, it's never going to, you're not going to get the maximum benefit out of it. It's just not possible.
What happens exactly if you don't exfoliate? How does that look?
Okay, well, you're going to be dry, flaky. You're going to have uneven skin. But you can use the best creams in the world. And if you're not removing that, it can't penetrate. It can't do its job. And that's the most important thing. We take all this time, and invest money, basically, into our skincare. And if you're not doing something as simple as taking off the dry skin, what's the point?
Yeah.
Little
Get
things
rid
like
of
that.
it.
Exactly. And especially in Florida or anywhere, really, when you get in the car, it's hot outside. You get in the car, you blast the AC on your face.
Yeah.
So you're creating surface dryness also. So again, it's that extra step of exfoliating and just hydrating, because a lot of times we create the skin that we have also.
Yes. So same thing goes for makeup.
Yes.
Fall trends, makeup. Not so much trends, actually. More of what do people need to know about updating their fall makeup. This is a huge thing too, and I think a lot of people need to hear this.
Absolutely. Okay, so going from summertime to wintertime, the light outside is different. So that's why you'll see, your bronzers, your golds, your peaches tend to look better in the summertime because, again, outside it's warmer, it's brighter, it's sunnier, it's more gold outside. You get into the winter months and it's more gray. So then you kind of shift, your tones shift to cooler tones because they're going to be more flattering. The biggest trend now going into fall is red and matte. Everybody wants that matte finish. And even the drier skins can wear a matte finish as long as it's something that is still a hydrating product.
Okay.
That whole kind of mindset of, oh, it's matte, it's going to be drying, doesn't necessarily hold true now. It used to in the past. So you just have to create that balance. It's more about the finish. And the trend is all matte.
Really?
Yes,
Matte?
I know.
How do you feel about matte?
I think it depends. I mean, it's nice because it is something different than the gloss, the high gloss that we've had, for so many years on the lips to do
It
matte.
really does make an impact. It's like, bam,
yes,
I'm here.
Yes.
And I'm in matte.
Yes. Especially since we want to glow. Well, how do you balance that out? Okay, well, you can still do your highlighting, can have the glow of the skin, and maybe just put on a matte lipstick if you really want to stay on trend.
Yeah. There is something somewhat sophisticated about the matte trend.
Yes, and sometimes looking like you just ate a box of chicken does not look very appealing. When girls load up on lip gloss and then the lips are sticking together and you can see it and it pills, it's not a pretty look. But I see it all the time.
What is it?
How much lip gloss did you put on?
Tell us, what are some of the worst things you've ever seen in I'm sure there's so many.
I've seen it all. But I think one of the worst things is, in my opinion, is when you're talking to somebody and you can see it's like their lips are sticking together and you're just like, God, please don't get that on me.
Or it's going like like they're opening their mouth and then like it's going in between.
Yes.
It's like sticking from the top lip to the bottom lip.
Cute at all.
Ew.
So with a matte product you wouldn't necessarily have that because so I guess maybe in that regard it will be something a little better because people overkill on the gloss.
Oh my God.
But again, it's finding that balance, what works for you.
Mm-hmm. I saw this thing really the other day. It was the craziest thing. I wish I had a picture of it. There was a girl using a bee sting roller on her lips. Have you seen that? I don't know what it was called, but I've got to get one of those. It looked so cool.
It plumps up your lips. So
does it really work?
It does work.
Yeah.
It's like being stung, and it will plump up your lips. It's not the most comfortable feeling. You'll find products, I think lip venom was one of them, that it felt like your lips were kind of on fire. If you like cinnamon, maybe it won't bother you so much, but there are alternatives to get that lip plumping effect without feeling like, your lips are on fire. But it does work. But again, hydration, if you plump the skin, your skin's going to be more plump. So you can kind of achieve that also without going through the pain.
It was temporary. She seemed like she was having a good old time, just rolling on her bee sting contraption that was like this big. She's like, just roll it on.
I'm going to have to take a look at that.
It was crazy.
It sounds interesting.
Yes, very, very interesting. So what about events? Do you do any events?
Oh, yes. Lots and lots and lots of events. Lots of brides, lots of people going to, galas, balls, whatnot. And
there's a lot of those here in Palm Beach.
A lot of those, yes. And I was on Worth Avenue for many years, so I did a lot. And one of the biggest things to know for events is you have to think about the lighting. Is it going to be inside? Is it going to be outside? Okay, do you need to really prepare for that? Do you know if it's going to be cold? Then maybe you want to do something a little bit more hydrating. You want to do an extra mask beforehand. You want to wear a dewier foundation.
I love these details.
Yes.
Oh, this gets me excited right here.
Yes, you have to think, okay, so...
The whole theme.
Exactly. If you're going to be outside, okay, is it going to be really hot? Well, then maybe you need to wear something that's a little bit more matte. Make sure that you bring an extra powder so that you're kind of working with the elements and making the elements work for you. And lighting is very important. If you know that you're going to be under, bright lights, then, accommodate for that, especially for brides. I want to look natural. Okay, well, that's great. it takes a lot more product, honestly, to look natural than it does to give you that real makeup look.
Okay.
So when somebody comes in with a magazine and they say, well, I want to look like this, and it looks like she has nothing on, she probably has on 10 products at least.
Yeah.
So
and she's probably like a 15-year-old model.
More than likely, yes. Exactly.
Has not gone through puberty yet and like has all
exactly. And
nothing.
For the women out there who really want to be natural, understand that in photographs that does not always photograph well. We're fortunate these days to have Photoshop. We can fix a lot of things, but you have to wear more makeup than you would naturally wear, and know that when it comes in a picture, it'll look great. Because if you have on nothing, it just does not photograph well, basically.
Okay. Good to know. So how about for more of the everyday or regular going out type of occasions, for someone who doesn't want to look overdone, but they want to look natural? What are some of the things that they must be wearing?
Blush is very important. To really have a polished look, you need to have mascara, blush, maybe a little bit of a lip tint, and then you can, get out the door. A little more time, something to even out the skin.
I forgot my lip tint today. You mentioned lip tint.
And it's like, that'll just give you that polished effect without really taking up too much time. And, it depends, again, on what you're going to be going out and doing. If you know that you're going to be going out on the boat and you still want to look good, of course, okay, so use a tinted moisturizer. Something that'll give you a little bit of color as opposed to wearing a foundation.
Love tinted moisturizer. I go most of the summer with just wearing a tinted moisturizer.
Exactly. Or waterproof mascara, so that you can still have those, beautiful lashes and not have it on your cheeks, halfway throughout your day, because that's not cute either.
Nope. No, it's not.
And touching on that also is that, we have to understand that the longer lasting a product is, or the longer wearing a product is, the more drying it tends to be. So wearing...
What do you mean exactly by that?
Okay, so people want something that's going to last a long time. Okay, I want a lipstick that doesn't come off. I want something that's going to wear for 8 hours. Okay, well, that's great, but if you're not exfoliating your lips, if you're not hydrating your lips, and you start using products like that, you are going to create so much discomfort and dryness that nothing that you put on after that is going to look good. So always keep in mind that there's always a little bit of a trade. Okay, if you're wearing waterproof mascara every day, you have to make sure that you wear a lash base or a lash primer, which makes a huge difference. I know we don't want to add an extra step, but you want to nourish the lashes because they're very delicate. And they only grow, every 6 months, I think they're replaced, something like that. And so just to keep that in mind, to balance out the products. You can't wear waterproof every day. You're going to make your lashes more brittle over time. So save it for those special occasions.
Definitely. I never wear waterproof. There's something about the feel of it. I can never get it off. And it just feels very, very thick. But yeah, I understand for those times when you really need it.
Well, the difference between a waterproof mascara and a water-resistant mascara. You want to have a water-resistant mascara because if you tear or something, whatever the case might be throughout the day, it's not going to come off as easily.
I didn't even know that they have water-resistant mascaras now.
Okay. Our mascaras are water-resistant with the exception of the ones that are waterproof. And the difference is water-resistant will unlock with warm water, and waterproof you have to have a physical remover. Okay. And it's the same thing with your long-wearing lip colors. You're going to need a physical remover to take that off, whether it's an eye makeup remover or, a makeup remover in general. Because if it's going to stay there, it's going to stay there. So you better like the color.
One thing, speaking of lashes, this was something I picked up the other day, and I want to know your thoughts about it.
Okay.
And how true it actually is. I read somewhere that if you wear brown color mascara on the bottom of your bottom lid, that it creates a softer look. Is that true, or is there another way of doing that?
Well, here's the thing when it comes to color. If you have, as an example, for your eyes, because you have brown eyes, if you wear a soft blue mascara, like a blue-black mascara, your eyes are going to be more vibrant, but it's still going to be softer than a black. Okay, so you want to think about enhancing the eye color. and every color is different. So you'll find a lot of people will say, oh, well, I can only wear brown. Brown is safe for the most part, but you have different shades of brown. So you have red browns, you have black browns, you have green browns. So you need to kind of be able to look at that also, because if you put on something that's a red brown and you have redness underneath your eye, it's not going to look softer. It's going to look like you're sick, basically. It's not going to be as flattering. For somebody who has green eyes, you can wear a purple mascara, like a deep purple mascara, and it'll be still, again, softer than a black. A nice alternative for the day.
Pretty.
Yeah, but it's going to enhance your eye color more.
Yeah.
So, it's again kind of trapping yourself into those colors. Blue eyes look great in peaches, but there was a time there where everybody wanted to wear brown. Brown, 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 brown. And, that's great if you have blue eyes. That's great. But, again, it's knowing those tones and knowing that a color is not really absolute. It takes quite a few colors to create that one color.
Yeah. Knowing what works for you.
Exactly. And, you're going to see there's a lot of, red eyeliners now. Some people can wear them and it looks beautiful and very fashion forward and very couture. And then other people, again, with the undertones, it just makes them, it looks very harsh. And so it goes back to understanding your undertones.
Yes.
And, really the look that you're trying to achieve, basically. So, yes, you can wear brown because it's softer, but it may not necessarily be the best color.
Yeah, no, so true, so true. I definitely had to learn the hard way.
I know,
I didn't always have Dwana in my life.
Well, thank you. And it's hard because, we have to get out of that mindset that, brown is soft. Well, why can't a deep blue be soft? Why can't a deep purple be soft? It's kind of stepping outside of that box and really looking at color as an enhancement. I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. What's the best kind of lighting to do your makeup at home?
Oh, that's a tough one. Lighting is always a challenge. I mean, in a perfect world, you should have a makeup light mirror. That's the best way to do it. Or natural sunlight.
Like a standalone mirror on your counter.
Natural sunlight is really the best because, I mean, it's natural. And, but we're not in natural lighting all the time. No. So generally you're going to be in fluorescent lighting. And fluorescent lighting, everything looks so much less than what it actually is. So then when you go out to dinner or something, it's going to look like, ooh, you have a lot of makeup on.
Yeah.
Or the colors just don't look right. So you have to find as natural lighting as possible, basically.
Okay. So how much do lighting and tools, well, you just answered my next question, basically. Okay. But how much do tools really make a difference when it comes to creating your look?
Brushes are very, very important. Tools are very important. It's kind of like the whole, premise is you wouldn't build a house with your hands and expect to have a mansion. It's just not going to work that way.
Yeah.
It sounds good in theory, but brushes are very, very important, but it also depends on the product. Some products are designed to be used with a sponge applicator because that's what's going to pick up the pigment the best, and then you blend it out with a brush. I find one of the biggest mistakes that I see people doing is they're not picking up the product properly with the way that the brush is tapered. Every brush...
There's a certain way to hold the brush?
Well, every brush, when you look at it, is tapered a certain way. So if it's tapered on an angle like this, then you're just going to pick up your product like that. When you start going like this, number one, you're going to make a mess.
So if it's angled... Sorry, real quick. So if it's angled, don't just swipe it. You just have to...
You just got to tap it. That's it. That's all you have to do, and the brush will do all the work for you. So if your brush is round, and you can see when you look at a brush which direction it's tapered, then you would roll it.
Oh.
And then, and everybody's technique is different, but it's really the picking up of the product with the brush. Because most people go like this. And you just make a big mess. And
I'm one of those people.
Yes. And you destroy your brush because then the hairs start to come out because you're breaking the hairs of the brush. So that's very, very important. And knowing what brush does what. Okay, you can't pick up color or pigment or powdered pigments, I should say, with a synthetic haired brush. Just like you wouldn't use a synthetic brush for something that's powder because you're not going to get it's not going to make your life any easier. You want to work smarter, not harder.
Right.
So, find a brush that you also have to keep in mind. The fuller the brush, the sheerer wash of color. The stiffer the brush, the more color deposit on the skin. So if you have a heavy hand, or if you're using something that's really, really pigmented,
Okay.
Use a fuller brush, or use a blending brush for your eyes as an example, and build the color. It's easier to add to it than it is to take it away.
Okay. Same goes for foundation, powder, and blush.
Exactly. And you can alternate between brushes. You don't necessarily have to have a separate brush for bronzer than you do for blush, but you have to keep in mind, if you're using something that's really stiff, you put on bronzer or you put on blush, you're going to get a lot of color. So you have to keep that in mind.
Okay. Oh my gosh, so much good information here. Just really trying to take it all in. But I wanted to quickly go back to how we originally got on this subject.
Okay.
About the holistic approach to beauty and finding that glow from within. What are some, break down some of your most important features of that?
Some of the most important for clarity of the skin, berries. So your blueberries, your blackberries, your whatever berry you like. The blueberries are really, really great because the darker the berry, the brighter the berry, the more lycopene it has, the more clarity to the skin. Aloe vera juice is magical.
God, you're the second person who's mentioned that. I've got to go get some of that.
Magical. And how I discovered it actually was my mother takes thyroid medication. It was very, very harsh on her stomach. So she started drinking the aloe juice 8 ounces a day. It doesn't really taste like anything. It smells like aloe.
Okay.
But 8 ounces a day, and I started commenting on her skin. I was like, your skin looks really great. What are you doing? What are you doing differently? And she goes, I think it's from the aloe juice because it calms it calms the stomach down, and the stomach is where your nerves are. Nerves will inflame the skin also. So aloe juice is magical in that regard. Fish oils will really give you that suppleness to the skin.
Yes.
One thing, and I'm sorry, milk drinkers out there, that I find a lot of people have sensitivity to and they don't realize it is milk. Milk can really affect the skin.
I just switched over to coconut milk.
Mm-hmm.
I was using almond milk,
mm-hmm.
and now I'm trying coconut milk. So I haven't been drinking regular milk for, I can't even remember the last time I had any. It's just, it's so heavy. It sits so heavily on my stomach.
Milk in general has so many antibiotics and stuff in it from... you have to take into consideration also, again, whatever that animal is eating or they're giving that animal as far as antibiotics, you're ingesting that.
Yeah.
So now you have that in your body also. So the cleaner your diet is, the better your skin is going to be. Not drinking water that has, a lot of, unfortunately, water here in the U.S. is not always our friend either.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's okay. Because it has, especially in Florida, there's a lot of chlorine in it. So you're not going to go to a swimming pool and obviously drink, pool water.
Right.
So you have to think about that also. It's better to try and have water that is, what are they? It's balanced. The acidity level, basically. It's alkaline. You want an alkaline water.
Right.
It'll make a huge difference in your skin also. So just little things like that we don't really think about.
That's something that confuses me a little bit of knowing how much alkaline, where's the balance there? How do you figure that out? Is that something you can touch on?
It's something that I'm learning.
Okay.
But I can definitely tell you that you see a big difference. I had actually a client of mine who started bringing in this, I called it the magic water. And it was, and it really was. I saw a huge difference. I felt better. My skin looked better. And it was...
What was it?
It was, it's purified.
Where can we get this magic water?
Exactly. It's a purification system that it's like all the rage in Japan, but they call it the fountain of youth. And it really is, because you think about it, your body is 98% water. You're mostly water. So, and water vibrates at a certain level. So if you're putting in water that has, the vibration is wrong, think about what's coming through your skin.
Mm-hmm.
The skin is the largest organ of the body.
Yes.
So whatever you put into it is going to come out. Also, if you're not staying hydrated and you're dehydrated or you're sweating a lot, you have to think about whatever you're putting in is going to come through the skin.
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm going to follow up with you about this miracle water.
I'm going to have to find out what it is. I don't remember what the name of it is.
I need to get some of this.
But I can tell you that I'm sure if you were to go online and look up,
Japanese miracle water.
Fountain of Youth water, something would come up. But it basically has to do with the alkalinity of the water.
Very cool. Very, very interesting stuff. Something you mentioned about the antibiotics in cows. Well, something a lot of people don't know about me, I used to work in marketing for many years. I led digital marketing teams. Some of my biggest clients were Tyson Fresh Meats. And I learned a lot about the industry. I learned a lot about, I'm just going to go like my way beyond my past here. I don't work for them anymore. It's fine. No, but I learned a lot about the industry, the meat industry, specifically beef and pork.
Yes. And
all the marketing that goes behind that. So those were my campaigns, and it's such an old, good old boy industry. They're so set in their ways. They don't really feel the need to explain a whole lot to their consumers. So that was kind of the rub between us as marketers and them as the company in creating, us pushing for, more education from their end onto the consumers, in their packaging, in their campaigns, on their product, anything pretty much. And it was a little bit of a struggle. But one of the things I did learn from one of our ranch trips was a lot about antibiotics. That was something that was really in conversation a whole lot. And I think a lot of people don't know this, but antibiotics, like you think about it, we take antibiotics, just like we do, and it leaves your system. And so when cows take antibiotics too, it leaves their system as well. So, when and how long between that point and then when they get, slaughtered, I don't know. But as far as I know and what I was told while I was working in that industry, that the antibiotics leaves their body just like it does ours as well. So sorry, I just wanted to touch on that because you brought something up for me, and
a lot of times our tap water.
But there's a lot of different opinions about it. So
a lot of times our tap water tests positive for a lot of antibiotics also, and you have to keep in mind this water is reused even though it's filtered or whatever. There's a lot of things in the water that affects the skin. You're taking a shower, you're brushing your teeth, you're doing all of these different things, and we don't really think about what we're putting on our skin when it comes to water.
Right.
Another thing also is the content in food, the salt content in food. For people who love to eat really, really salty foods, or you're eating a lot of frozen foods, and it has a lot of salt in it, you're going to be puffy.
Frozen foods have the worst amount of salt.
You're going to be puffy underneath the eyes, and you're going to have, again, that kind of gray skin because that's what it does, is it makes you retain water. Yeah. So if you have a problem with puffiness around the eyes or puffiness in general, a lot of times it's, alcohol intake and it's your salt. If you can just kind of find a way to ease back on that, then you'll see a big difference in the skin also.
Wow.
Especially around the eyes.
Oh, yeah. What was that trick that you had mentioned to me? I really want to get that from you again. I know you said a long time ago, but it was something about how to get rid of the dark circles.
Okay. Vitamin K. Vitamin K is very, very important. Iron, anything that has to do with circulation, because a lot of times what it is it's poor circulation. Some of it's genetics. Some of it you can minimize, some of it you cannot. There are a few cosmetic companies or skincare lines now. They'll have the little wand it's basically like a little magnet. Oh, okay. So basically what that does is you go around the eye with your eye cream and it pulls the blood out and you're moving it back into the lymphatic system.
Wow.
So because there's iron in your blood. So a magnet is going to grab the iron. And it's a really cool demonstration to see because it's like, oh, wow, okay, that really does work. And it will make a difference.
Wow.
Anytime you can improve the circulation in through here and get those toxins out and moving and released from the body, the better your skin will be.
Yeah.
The better you're going to feel, too.
Wow.
But especially around the eye area. The eye is the thinnest part of the face. It's the most delicate. It's the first to show signs of everything. Whether it's aging or not resting or poor diet, the puffiness, whatever the case might be. For darkness, definitely your vitamin K and improving the circulation. And for puffiness, anything that's cold, sometimes you can't take it away 100%, but you can minimize it. take your eye cream, put it in the fridge. You know, take something cold, compressed, whatever, and put it on there to help bring that puffiness down. Because that's a very, very hard thing to hide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dark circles, it's, you know, you have a better chance of being able to conceal it better, but raised skin is raised skin. So that, you know, kind of goes back to the dryness. You know, if you're not exfoliating, this is higher, this is lower, you're going to see it more.
Yeah.
Because it's uneven.
Right.
Same thing with the eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you're spending, like you said, you're spending all this money, all this time, energy, and money on, you know, creating this look, and you're frustrating because you're wondering, you know, well, this, you don't even realize, I think, often that you could be looking better if you just make a couple of changes when it comes to your diet.
And less is more. You know, especially here in the U.S., you know, bigger's better. Bigger is not always better.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, more. And when it comes to skincare, you know, people pile it on. Okay, well, your skin can only absorb so much.
Yes.
So, you know, you're not doing yourself any benefit by using too much of a product. You know, find out how much are you supposed to use and use that.
Okay.
You know, generally if something comes in a pump form, 1 pump is for the face, 2 pumps is for the face, neck, and décolleté. Okay, you can put on as much as you want, and then what's going to happen? Another thing.
Why is it that people think, you know, oh, I'm going to put this huge glom of stuff in my hand, and then I'm going to put it all on my face and cover my face until it's all gone?
Yeah, exactly. And then what they don't realize is that, oh, my foundation doesn't stay. Well, of course it's not going to stay because it doesn't have anything to adhere to. So one of the little tricks that I find that really works is when you're doing your routine in the morning, do your skincare first. Less about the size of a pea to a dime is generally all you need when it comes to a moisturizer.
A pea or a dime?
A pea to a dime. That's all you need for a moisturizer.
Wow.
This whole dabbing all over, that's, you know, it will spread. You'll have to think about what the product is also. Some products are very, very concentrated. You don't need a lot, even though it may not look like it's enough. 9 out of 10 times is probably more than enough.
Okay.
So do your skincare first.
One question about that,
Sure.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Because I don't know if I'm the only one who thinks this, but I understand the dime part, and then I put it on my skin, but then sometimes I feel like, oh, well, I could have gotten this area over here, but it doesn't really feel like it got any coverage. So what you're saying is it will spread once it dries? It will
spread, and your eye cream is one of the biggest. You know, it should be on the orbital bone. That's it.
That I know.
You know, and some eye creams are designed to be able to be used here, but not all eye creams. And you have to be very careful with products that have SPFs in them. Because again, the eyes are so thin and so delicate that SPFs can be very irritating to the eye area.
That we covered with my issue a little while back. I was using... do you remember I was using a SPF under eye cream that was tinted, and I thought it was so great, and then I came to you and I realized I was like, oh, Dwana, this new product I got is so fabulous, and you were like, that's not your color, number one, and number two, this has SPF in it, and it's not doing anything for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have SPF.
I get most of my products from you, but like this was the one product that I didn't get, like,
and see what happened
in your recommendation.
But that's okay, you know what, this is how we learn, you know, we need to explore, we need to keep ourselves open to different products, you know, because you can find something really in any line that you love. Some are going to be better than others, some not so much. But going back to the routine in the morning, if you do your skincare first, then you do your eyes, and then you go back and you do your foundation, you're going to actually save yourself more time in the end. Because I don't care how neat of an artist you are, if you already have your foundation, your concealer on, and you do your eyes and your shadow falls, you've got to clean it back up, or it's going to grab, you're going to think that you're darker than you actually are, and you do more work for yourself. Also, it gives the skin a chance to absorb the skincare. A lot of times what will happen is you'll put a foundation on right on top of a moisturizer, especially if it's a dewy finish foundation, which, you know, everybody who wants to be glowy, you know, it tends to have that. It starts to pill, which basically means it kind of rolls off the skin and it doesn't last. So just little tweaks like that can make a huge difference.
Okay.
In the way that your makeup is going to last throughout the day. Another thing is not all powders are created equal. That's a big misconception that people have, is that, well, I have to set my foundation with a powder. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. It depends, again, on your skin type and the look that you're trying to achieve.
Right. And that was something I was doing for the longest time. And we talked about that. I was like, I've stopped doing that altogether now because it was creating the look that I wasn't wanting. And I was like, what? What's this happening? And it was just that one subtle change.
Exactly. And and then you'll find some people who they look like they're so wet, like maybe you can carve your name in their face. It just looks so
I've seen
like
that.
too much.
Unfortunately.
Well, if you're layering, because you have hydrating powders, you have illuminating powders, you have mattifying powders. So if you're using a dewy foundation and you want a dewy look and you put a mattifying powder on top of it, well, you just undid that whole dewy look. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Or if you're super, super oily and you use like a strobe light powder or something that really has that mica, that shine to it, you're going to enhance that tenfold.
Yeah.
So again, it's just knowing, and some powders are hydrating and some are not oil absorbing. So if you're a drier skin, you put on an oil absorbing powder. Again, it's just not going to be the best product for you. So it's knowing what you want and knowing what you're using.
Love it. Love it. And education is key.
Yes.
In all of these things. I love talking with you. I love absorbing all of this good nuggets of information that you bring to us here on the show. This is awesome. It's been incredible having you here. I can't wait to actually go back and watch the show a couple of times because I know there's a lot of really good new stuff in here that I haven't heard before. And I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for being on the show today. I love that we can chat and
it's girl talk
here. Yeah,
it's fun. It's makeup.
This is my favorite subject.
Yeah, it's makeup. It's supposed to be fun. Have fun. You can learn from anybody. Every artist is going to tell you something different, show you a different trick. So you just have to be open to learning new things. That's all.
Yeah. Dwana, thank you so much for being on the show again.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.